feta is a lot. But I can just do it. I can round it off. Whatever you want.
I can work with it. It's fine.
Just whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah, I can
It's
work with
all
it.
good now. God bless him too. God, that man works his
So yeah, just let me know and I'll come up with everything.
okay.
Yeah, let me know.
Yeah,
I'll
okay,
send everything.
awesome.
And the
It wore here it is.
okay. So this is here, including the bakers are on here too.
The bakers are involved. I don't.
They're not gonna get mentioned. It's okay.
They'll survive.
What was this? Should Ron and Sharon should they walk up those? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, like 2 more minutes. Yep.
It's all right. Hello. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Worship God. I have to tell you a little story. It's actually a story about Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. Maybe you know this story. They were lying on the sands of the desert, looking up at the night sky, of course, counting the stars. And Sherlock Holmes says to Watson what Sherlock Holmes always says, which is, what do you deduce from looking up at the stars? And Watson says, well, there are more stars than I can see compared to where we live back in London. There are more stars here. Holmes says, that's true, Watson, but that's not the crucial deduction. Watson then says, well, I can tell that even though there are more stars here, it actually seems darker. Because in London we have all these artificial lights and street lamps and so forth. And Holmes says, of course, that's true, Watson, but that's not the crucial deduction. To which Watson says, as usual, Holmes, I don't know. Why don't you tell me? Watson says, Holmes says, the crucial deduction, Watson, is that someone has stolen our tent. Excellent. Awesome. Exactly. We planned that. Tonight I share this story about Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson because it points to three deductions. The first is that the sky they were looking at was filled with lots of darkness. And at many moments, our world feels quite dark as well. Tonight, a night about Dr. Martin Luther King, his life, and this celebration that has been going on for close to 30 years is about bringing light. We all know that you can't beat back the dark with a stick. The way to beat back the dark is through little rays of light. That's deduction number one. The second deduction is that losing the tent that they lost on a certain level is the goal of this night and of Dr. King's life. We're so firmly stuck in our tents. We're so siloed and polarized and divided. Tonight's about removing the tent so that we can see the divinity that exists in every one of us. I'm thinking back to a famous line of Dr. King, I look to a day when people will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by that's the third deduction, by the content of their character. Third and final deduction is that by removing the tent, praise God, that was the song we started with, a beautiful prayer that we started with. By removing the tent, Watson and Holmes could look up to heaven. The heavens are where we look to when we aspire to God. And there's a beautiful reason for that, or way of understanding that from the Hebrew word heavens. The word heavens in Hebrew is shemayim. Shemayim, the Hebrew word, is two words put together, aish and mayim, fire and water. What do we know about fire and water? They can't exist together. They can't coexist. Unless, of course, teaches this one beautiful, simple Jewish word, unless, of course, it's connected to God. If we embrace God, then fire and water can merge, can come together, can integrate into a holy unity. That's what can be when we focus our attention on God. And that's what was the message of Dr. King's life, and also the mission, the sense of heart and purpose and meaning of this night for about 3 decades.
So with what better kavanah, with what better intention could we have to invite up our President Ron Epstein and his wife Sharon to kindle the lights of Shabbat. This is the parsha in which we read about the burning bush. And I just want to point out how beautiful it is that we have our words and our songs being signed, such that we're making our prayer experience accessible to even a wider range in that spirit of stepping outside the tents, of welcoming in the most diverse range of friends, old and new. So our prayer for candle lighting begins on page 2.
Share Kirishanu. Should I start again? Wait. Baruch.
First light.
It's not easy to bring light into the world for us. It wasn't easy for God in the very founding moments either.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen. But blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Lechuna Ranana can be found on page 12.
Lechuna ranena, yai lai 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 lai, la Adonai, yai lai 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 lai, Nahariya, yai lai 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 lai, Letzor Yisheinu. Yai, lai, 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 lai. Let us sing out to God, the maker of all, sure and strong. Let all of creation from mountain to sea hear our song. Lechu neranena. Yai, lai, 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 lai. Nahariya, yai, lai, 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 lai. Nahariya, yai, lai, 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 lai. Letzor Yisheinu, yai, lai, 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 lai. For all of the wonder and all of God's light, we rejoice. So now let us listen with all of our hearts to hear God's voice. Lechu neranena, yai lai 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 lai, la Adonai, yai lai 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 lai, Nahariya, yai lai 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 lai, Letzor Yisheinu, yai lai 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 lai.
Welcoming in Shabbat, we turn to Lecha Dodi. It's on page 20.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, ishmi'anu el yuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad. L'shem u'tiferet v'litchila, lecha dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki makor habracha, merosh mikedem nesucha. סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Verse 5. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי. כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. We now turn to verse 9. If it is your custom, I invite you to rise and face the entrance as we await the entrance of the Sabbath bride of Shabbat into our midst. Verse 9. בואי ושלום עטרת בלה, גם בשמחה ובצחולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. הללויה, 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 הללויה.
So we have a wonderfully full house tonight. There are a few spaces in these first maybe 3 rows. If there's any chance you could squinch in and leave a little spot, or raise your hand if you possibly could lose 5 pounds and have someone come sit. There's at least a space for 4 more people. We can move some prayer books. We can move a jacket. Raise your hand if there's a little space beside you. Hate to have people standing at the door. There's a little space in the second row, I think. Raise your hand. Thank you. So if you see a raised hand, that means there's a spot for you. Don't have to stand at the door. Okay. And if you want to stand at the door, I get that. Make a quick escape.
There's a great seat next to Beth over there. Beth, raise your hand. Beth's a great person to sit next to. I know it. For certain. She is.
But it means you have to sit in the front. We will not call on you. You will not have to answer any questions. Okay, we are going to, there's a beautiful program that we have with some images and some prayers. If everyone will open that up, we're going to join together in the reading on the top of page 3. Thank you, Ron. Joining together, top of page 3. We enter this sanctuary to welcome Shabbat. Within these walls, we sit surrounded by numberless generations. Our ancestors built the synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst. Throughout our long history and our endless wanderings, it has endured a beacon of truth, love, and justice for all humanity. Its presence guided our ancestors to lives of righteousness, holding up to them a vision of their truest selves. Now we, in our turn, come to the sanctuary to affirm the sacredness of our lives. May we enter this place in peace. May holiness wrap around us as we cross its threshold. Weariness, doubt, the flaws within our human hearts, the harshness of the weak, let these drop away at the door. In the brightness of Shabbat, let peace settle upon us as we lift our hearts in prayer.
We'll turn now in our prayer books to page 24, where we welcome the Shabbat angels in our midst with Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Please rise if you are able as we turn to page 28 for Baruch Hu.
Yala lai lai lai, 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 yala lai lai lai. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Yala lai lai lai, 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 yala lai lai lai.
Joining together on the bottom of 31. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over?
Baruch
Atah Adonai, Ma'ariv Arabim.
Page 32.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיי חיינו ואורך ימינו ואורך ימינו ובכם נגע יומם ולילה יומם ולילה ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Please be seated as we continue together with Be'ahavta on page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בעם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות להם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם
Emet. So, ve'ahavta means, and you shall love. Ahava is love. And one of the foundational and generating forces behind this entire MLK Shabbat celebration was the deep friendship and love and partnership between Joe Key and Rosie Weiner. And we feel her here, and we're so grateful to have your smile and your presence here tonight, Joe. So will you come up and offer the reading at the bottom of page 3 in tribute to a friendship that transcends so much and that raises us to a higher place. Okay, be careful.
Thank you. This is a prayer from the Dr. Martin Luther King. And I was sitting and started reading over it. And I thought how appropriate it is. It's in my mind that when Dr. King got to the top of the mountain, he looked over and he saw what was going to happen today based on this prayer. Most gracious and all-wise God, before whom face the generations rise and fall, though in whom we live and move and have our being, we thank you for all of your good and gracious gifts, for life and for health, for food and for remnants, for the beauties of nature and human nature. We come before you painfully aware of our inadequacies and shortcomings. We realize that we stand surrounded with the mountains of love, and we deliberately dwell in the valley of hate. We stand amid the forces of truth and deliberately lie. We are forever offered the high road, and yet we choose to travel the low road. For these sins, O God, forgive. Break the spell of that which blinds our minds. Purify our heart that we may see you. O God, in these turbulent days when fear and doubt are mounting high, give us broad vision, penetrating eyes and the power of endurance. Help us to work and renew vigor. Help us to work for a warless world and for a brotherhood that transcends race or color. Amen.
Micha Mocha, our prayer for freedom, for redemption, page 40.
Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? Yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele. Sing with us on Yai Lai Lai Lai. Yai Lai Lai Lai, Yai Lai 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 Lai, Yai Lai 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 Lai, Yai Lai 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 Lai. Yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai.
So this evening is all about taking our aspirations, our intentions, our prayers, and bringing them into the realm of reality, embodying it with song and with movements, and even more important, with what we do when we leave this space, the work of our hands and our hearts. And so we've begun what I hope will be a beautiful and long-standing tradition, which is of presenting a humanitarian award on this evening for to give to those within our community who really represent the highest ideals of what this whole night is about. And so to present this evening's humanitarian award, it's my honor to once again call up Ron Epstein. You're going to get a workout tonight, Ron.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, of course, to our wonderful clergy team, Senior Rabbis Meir and Tara Feldman, Associate Rabbi Eli Molbaum, and, of course, our cantor Vladimir Lapin, for leading us this evening together as a community in prayer. A special thank you to our guest speaker, Wade Norwood, who we'll be hearing from a little bit later on this evening. And a very warm welcome to the many notable elected officials and regents from New York State who have honored us this evening with their presence. And of course, a special thank you to Roger Tillis. Where are you, Roger? To Roger Tillis, whose inspiration year after year has helped us to make this evening possible. So thank you again to Roger. I would also be remiss if I didn't take a moment to acknowledge our inspiring MLK Shabbat Interfaith Choir, led by the very talented Nigel Gretton and our own Cantor Lappin. Our multi-generational, I'll add, choir. Yes, give them a hand. Give them a hand. They're terrific. They are really terrific. They really are. And we have every age group. Who's the youngest on here? It's really terrific to see. So, folks, what a pleasure it is once again to be here with all of you for our 28th annual Martin Luther King Shabbat service. Absolutely. In celebration of the life and in honor of the legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who, as many of you may know, spoke right here at Temple Beth-El back in March of 1967. Not at this particular bema, but somewhere else in the old building. Every man must decide whether he will walk in the light of creative altruism or in the darkness of destructive selfishness. These words offered by Dr. King some 54 years ago in the spring of 1966. Dr. King understood the vital importance of service to one's fellow man. It was a principle that he not only preached, but by which he lived. It is also an authentically Jewish concept, fulfilling one of the core principles of our Jewish teachings, tikkun olam, repair of the world. Tikkun olam, first referenced in the Mishnah, our 2,000-year-old body of classic rabbinic teachings, includes both tzedek and tzedakah, which are linguistically related. Tzedek referring to the justice within the broader society, and tzedakah referring to the performing of personal acts of kindness towards others. Now, in our centennial decade, Temple Beth-El is as engaged as ever, a continuing beacon for social action both within our local community and the broader world. The Temple Beth-El of Great Neck Humanitarian Award, as Rabbi Tara mentioned, is a new tradition here at Temple Beth-El, initiated last year as a way of acknowledging the extraordinary contributions that members of this congregation make each and every day in fulfilling our calling to make the world a better place. This year's recipient embodies both the words of Dr. King and of our Jewish tradition's calling for tikkun olam. Temple Beth-El Vice President Jordana Levine. Absolutely. Jordana's looking very nervous right now. Jordana, her talented husband Stan, and kids Aiden, Zachary, and Jacob have been dedicated members of this congregation for over 18 years. In that time, Jordana's involvement here has been the epitome of the virtual whirlwind of energy that so many of us know her to be. Chair of the Beth-El Connection, which was retitled Familyhood Connection, for over 12 years. Co-chair of the Beth-El Membership Committee for over a decade. For over 15 years, she has organized and run the Tzedakah Project, an amazing program providing over 300 meals each holiday season for some of Great Neck's most needy families. She's a Temple Beth-El trustee. She's a member of Temple Beth-El's executive committee. She serves currently, as mentioned, as vice president of Temple Beth-El. She has served as the co-chair of the Cantoral Search Committee. Recently, she's taken on the co-chair role along with her Temple Israel, Shai, and First Baptist Church counterparts, Veronica Lurvy, Rebecca Sassooni, Adrienne Volz, and Tiffany Gentiles, of the Martin Luther King Day Teen Program. She served as a member of Temple Beth-El's Governance Committee. She served as a member of Temple Beth-El's Worship Committee. She serves as a member of Temple Beth-El's Religious School Committee. She's been a member of Temple Beth-El's CEC Committee, as well as serving on a range of fundraising efforts, including comedy, gala, and honorary events. Jordana has worked tirelessly to enrich our spiritual home for our members and to bring Beth-El's historic commitment to social action to the broader community. Now, that may sound like a full plate for just about anyone, but Jordana isn't just about anyone. I believe I mentioned the word whirlwind. Beyond the confines of the Beth-El community, she is just as engaged. Past PTO president of Saddle Rock Elementary School and of Great Neck North Middle School. Past chair of the Shared Decision-Making Committee at Great Neck North Middle and Senior High Schools. Past president of the Young Leaders Group of Hadassah, as well as an array of fundraising efforts of just about every sort imaginable, and frankly, way too long to list here, in efforts that look to feed the hungry, to shelter the homeless, and to provide hope for the hopeless. Jordana, long ago, made her decision to, as Dr. King put it, walk in the light. So tonight, we recognize her for her selfless efforts in leading our congregation in service to the community, especially in our efforts to support those in need locally, Jewish and non-Jewish alike, children's issues, educational issues, food drives, food rescue, meal distribution, and raising community awareness about the very local need in our own North Shore neighborhoods. Jordana, it is a great honor and a pleasure for me to present you with this year's Temple Beth-El Humanitarian Award. It has been a wonderful honor for me to serve this community alongside of you, and it is a blessing for me to be able to call you and Stan my friends. Kol hakavod, well done, and congratulations. I invite you to come up, Jordana. Jordana Levine, 2020 Humanitarian Award of Temple Beth-El. So I'm going to turn over the mic to our very well-deserving recipient. And this is yours. Take this with you when you leave.
This mic?
This mic is best.
Wow, thank you so much, Ron. Good evening and Shabbat Shalom. I am so humbled and truly honored to be the recipient of the Temple Beth-El Humanitarian Award. It is not lost on me that I'm receiving this award at the service in which we honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I have always been in awe of his commitment to social justice, his devotion to others, and I'm continually inspired by his work and all that he has stood for and represents. And so it is particularly meaningful to receive this award at the MLK Shabbat service. When my husband Stan and I joined Temple Beth-El 18 years ago, I couldn't wait to jump right in and get involved. And thankfully, the culture of TBE provides for that type of participation. There are a multitude of opportunities for us, the membership, to step up and make a difference, both right here within our temple walls, as well as out in the broader community. Helping others and volunteering has just always been my thing. I have friends that have bought me t-shirts and mugs that say, "Stop me before I volunteer again." Yet I can't. I'm addicted. Perhaps being a grandchild of survivors has compelled me into this life. What I do know and can confirm is that I have learned from the best, and that parents, thank you, Dad, I don't know where you are, and I love you for being here, and grandparents, and my grandmother is 99, she couldn't be here, but it's incredible that I still have her, live a life of meaning and pass that inclination of service and humanity onto their children. In whatever capacity we can, it is imperative to do our part in repairing the world and making changes to improve our society. In this week's Torah portion, Parsha Shemot, we read that Moses was contemplative about returning to Egypt after seeing the burning bush and taking a stand against injustices perpetrated on the Israelites. He had doubts about how successful he would be and if he was the right person to take on this mission. Yet, that's the intrinsic beauty of volunteering and serving others. If it's in your heart, if you have the will and the desire to make our world a better place, in whatever the capacity, then that's what matters. Each of us must ask ourselves, what is my burning bush? What injustice in the world makes me cringe, cry, or scream? These are the causes for which we are most equipped to act, as overwhelming as they may seem. As Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? When Ron reached out to me about this award, among the many things I've been involved with, he spoke to me about the work I have done with the Tzedakah Project and as well now the annual Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service Project. These are two efforts that I am very proud of and that I hold dear to my heart. The Tzedakah Project began even before we joined Beth-El. After a few years of being involved with the project, I assumed responsibility of leading it. With the Tzedakah Project, money is raised in order to buy complete holiday meals for our neighbors. We deliver the food right before Christmas to some of our friends at the Mount Olive Church, St. Aloysius, the First Baptist Church, members of the Hispanic community of Great Neck, residents of the Arundel House, as well as the Manhattan Valley House on East Shore Road. This year, we were able to provide meals to over 315 families. One of the fundamental parts of the project that I value most is that people of all ages are able to work together as we package the meals and then go out into the community and deliver them. Over the years, the amount of meals that we have delivered has increased by almost 100. It is a gift to be able to help so many people. Yet at the same time, it is troubling and moreover alarming that more and more people are in need of assistance. The MLK Day of Service program is another project that I'm very passionate about for a number of reasons. On behalf of Temple Beth-El, I have the tremendous opportunity to work with 4 exceptional women: Tiffany Gentiles, Adrienne Vault of the First Baptist Church, Rebecca Sassooni from Shai, and Veronica Lurvy from Temple Israel of Great Neck. Together, we share a mutual vision of bringing teens together from all backgrounds to discuss, engage in conversation, and confront stereotypes, bias, racism, and anti-Semitism. Equally important to the dialogue that is facilitated is the work the teens do together to provide a service to the community. This year, we will be packaging bags of food and household supplies for all of the families with children enrolled in the Head Start program at the EOC of Manhasset. In addition, they will also assemble bags for each child in the Head Start program with items like Play-Doh, crayons, and books. Lastly, we asked the teachers if they had a wish list, and we are fortunate to be able to gift them with the items for their school. It is unsettling that just across the road, there are classrooms that lack basic materials like glue sticks and drawing paper. It's not too late to still sign your 6th through 12th graders up for this program. We consider MLK Day not a day off, but rather a day on of work and service. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge and thank my husband and our 3 children, Aiden, Zachary, and Jacob, who are the impetus for everything I do. I recognize that sometimes my volunteering keeps me out of the house at meetings and other obligations, so I want to publicly thank you for always being so supportive. There are no words to describe my love and adoration for you. Just remember, as I always say to you, kindness counts. Again, thank you to my Beth-El family for bestowing me with this honor. I accept this with deep appreciation and gratitude for the recognition. In the esteemed words of the Honorable Dr. King, the time is always right to do what is right. So let us all continue to work together to do what is right. Thank you.
We now rise, or stay up, as the case may be, turning to page 46, where our private standing prayer begins. 46, the Amidah.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הר גשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, צומח נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים וקדושים בכל יום יהללו חסלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש, האל הקדוש.
We continue seated or standing, as is our custom, with the words on the prayer, the meditations of our hearts. We'll meet up again on page 62.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
We draw such strength from being present in community, and at this moment in our service, we send some of that strength out. So we'll turn to page 253 in our prayer books, and as we prepare to offer Misha Berach Lacholim, our prayer for those in need of healing, we invite you to call into your minds and into your heart any of your loved ones who might be in need of healing this Shabbat. Carry their face in your mind, carry their name in your heart as we offer in the middle of the page, Misha Berach, page 253.
Misha Berach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We just offered this a beautiful prayer for healing, and it occurred to me as we're offering this line, may the source of strength, who blesses so many of us, source of strength. I'm thinking about the word strength because in Hebrew, the word koach has the numerical value of 28. The numerical value of 28, this is the 28th year. So there's something about strength and koach. My job at this moment is actually to introduce Roger Tillis, who has been a source of strength for the Temple Beth-El family, beginning with your parents. So much strength in character, in generosity, in vision, in mission. A source of strength for so many people in this room. Every year, it's because of you, Roger, that this room or the sanctuary downstairs is filled with with people, so many do-gooders, elected officials, members of the Long Island community who strive every single day to make life better for all of us here. And I'm certain, Roger, even though I haven't had the chance to poll every one of them and every one of us, that you are a source of strength for all of them. And I know we here at Beth-El feel a very special blessing and privilege and honor and good fortune that you are and have been a source of strength for us. So please, Roger Tillis.
Shabbat Shalom. And welcome once again to this very, very meaningful evening, as it has been for the last 28 years. I'm not the only one. No, I'm not the only one that has been here for every one of them. But I know that my life has been enriched by the wonderful camaraderie that we have in this service. I wanted to, I need to, whether I want to or not, I need to introduce some of the wonderful and really warm public officials who are here, who came for us and have come almost every year. I know one person that has come every year is our state controller and our Great Neck resident and good friend and mensch, Tom DiNapoli, who is here. And we have a gaggle, I think that's 4 or more school superintendents here, and from many of our districts on Long Island, and we have some of the very, very best schools in the world, not just in the country. However, we also have some of the most difficult districts and some of the most needy districts in the state of New York, right here on Long Island, our neighbors. And the reason I bring that up is because I've been a regent now for 15 years, and for 15 years have been trying very hard to get our board, which has not been difficult, and get our staff, which has not been difficult, and we have the Assistant Commissioner of Education here, Aniel Alston, one of our former speakers. And we have a gaggle of regents, I guess, too. Our speaker, Wade Norwood, who we'll talk about in a minute, and our chancellor of the New York State Board of Regents, Betty Rosa, and my colleague from Little Neck in the New York State Board of Regents, Judith Chen. I don't know if you're still here or they were here. Our board and many, many people have looked at those districts that are not some of the best districts in the world, right here on Long Island, and have for years been trying to intervene in some way, because I know I see those kids all the time. I go into the schools, I read poems to these kids, and I see some of the most difficult challenges that these kids have in the high schools and middle schools. And for years, we've been trying to get a legislative solution to this. And this year, for the first time, we have 2 senators and 2 state assembly people who have stood up and introduced bills that have passed both houses and are on the governor's desk. And from what I learned today, the governor is working out a solution to have those bills signed, to have an intervention in the Hempstead and the Wyandanch school districts. This is a major accomplishment, not just for Wyandanch and Hempstead, but for all of us, because as long as there are some kids that are not getting the best education on Long Island, then we are not doing our job. So with us today is one of those elected officials, Senator Brooks from the South Shore. I think you're still here in the back. Stand up for a second. He is one of those courageous people that stood up and said, we're going to change this. And through hard work and working with us in the state ed department, working with his colleagues in the legislature, and now working with the governor's office, we're about to see some changes that I think will significantly help those districts. With us, we also have, and I always forget somebody, so if I forget you, please let me know, wave or something like that. Former councilwoman and Great Neck resident and Temple Beth-El member for a long time, our good friend Lee Seaman, who is in the back. And not anywhere least of that, but our executive who runs the town of North Hempstead, and again, former Temple Beth-El member, Judy Bosworth, is here. I know I'm jumping from local to state and local, but we're back to the state at this point. Our wonderful senator from Great Neck, Anna Kaplan, is here as well. Or was here. Was here, okay. And our state assemblyman is from Tony Durso, is here also from Great Neck. One of our neighboring assembly people who I know was standing in the hall, couldn't get a seat, Michelle Salages is here, was here. I don't know if you're still here or standing in the hallway. And I think that we have a gaggle of journalists, and I won't go into them, and some of the Newsday people and whatever else, that frankly are very important people these days because they are actually giving us the truth and not some of the fake news that we are getting from so many people. I performed my bar mitzvah right here in this sanctuary over 60 years ago, and this temple has given me the background that has made my character, I think, helpful in the world. And all of the work we did in the Junior Temple Club has now resounded in the work that I do as a regent. The regents now are a group of very dedicated people who really, I couldn't say this at the very beginning when I became a regent 15 years ago, but I can say so now, are dedicated and listen to each other and really are watching the kids as our example that we need to work for all the time. I mentioned the other regents who are here, but there's one special regent that really stands out among us all, because when he talks, the regents listen, and he brings a voice of real morality and eloquence, and makes us all think about what it is that we're supposed to be doing. And that is our speaker for tonight, Wade Norwood. He is the head of one of the biggest health organizations in the state, from Rochester, and he devotes such huge amounts of time to us and to our kids in the state of New York, but also to his family, because I know I see his Facebook pictures all the time. I was so excited when he agreed to come and be our speaker here tonight to share some of the wonderful wisdom and eloquence that he has with us as Temple Beth-El members. So welcome, please, Regent Wade Norwood.
Good evening and Shabbat Shalom. Roger, I have to thank you for that kind and generous introduction. Before I begin, my friends, I would just take advantage of the work that Brother Epstein did and that Roger did to give honor to all of the wonderful, revered dignitaries that are here with us this evening. And I'd like to thank all of you all for being here and for inviting me to be part of this continuing tradition, which is one of the ways in which Temple Beth-El of Great Neck pursues justice and acts with loving kindness. I also want to note that your presence here is an important part of how we respond to the inequity that continues to exist in this imperfect world, of how we join in honoring and emulating Dr. King's example of social action and the pursuit of social justice. I want to thank you for inviting me here to be a part of this continuing Black-Jewish dialogue and this continued building of momentum of congregational commitment to inspire through purpose and to be known by love. And of course, I have to thank my dear colleague, the Dean of the Board of Regents, Roger Tillis, and the organizers of tonight's program for giving me the opportunity to witness the community of love that you are. Even were I not on the program, I have been already richly blessed by being here tonight. And I will go forth and witness that this is a place where minds are open, friends are made, tradition is honored, and change is welcome. I will provide you with good news now that I'm done with the throat clearing. I'm not going to talk for very long. I only have 10 pages with me, and I'm already at the middle of page number 2. But I need to take some time and acknowledge the congregant that we honored this evening, Jordana Levine, your humanitarian award recipient. Jordana, I honor you with the words that Frederick Douglass wrote to Harriet Tubman, because I'll admit I spent some time Googling to learn about you. Douglass said, "The difference between us is very marked. Most that I have done and suffered in the service of our cause has been in public, and I have received much encouragement every step of the way. You, on the other hand, have labored in a private way. I have wrought in the day, you in the night. I have had the applause of the crowd and the satisfaction that comes with being approved by the multitude, while most of what you have done has been witnessed by just a few. And all too often it must have seemed as if heartfelt God bless you has been your only reward. And so it is very fitting that tonight we join with the midnight sky and the silent stars in witness of your devotion to freedom, to justice, and to love. Congratulations. As I prepared my remarks for this evening, my thoughts immediately turned to one of my 21-year-old daughter Julia's friend's birthday party back when she was growing up. And the birthday party started with a movie, and my wife had assigned me the responsibility to get Julia to the movie theater so that she could join into this party. And anyone who knows me knows that, of course, we arrived late. And Julia and I got there after all of these 12 and 13-year-old girls had entered into the movie theater. And so my job changed rapidly. because now my mission was I had to connect Julia with her friends and with the party's hosts before she had an emotional meltdown. And I don't know how many of you have ever been in the position of watching a prepubescent girl begin to spiral, or have ever had to enter into a darkened movie theater and find the people you belong to and belong with. But let me tell you, it is one incredibly difficult job. And it's a job that should be incredibly familiar to all of us who are involved in repairing the world, as well as to all of us who have made it through the difficult task of raising children into adulthood. Because quite honestly, nothing better sums up human development or community development. Nothing more appropriately explains the challenge that we face in this new year with all of the hate and the hurt and the harm that we presently face. Nothing sums it up better than the experience of wandering in the darkness and trying to find a friend. I say this to you because as I prepared remarks for tonight, I knew that I wanted to strike this theme of darkness, mystery, and searching. But little did I know that Lynn Schiff and the staff of Shema had also taken up this theme and dedicated your winter bulletin to reflections and writings on mystery and on darkness, and on the blessed assurance that our Creator knows the mysteries of our hearts. And that, as I read through the winter bulletin, was incredibly soul-stirring, because quite honestly, there's a lot that's going on right now that feels like wandering in the darkness. A lot going on at the local level and at the state level. And so I add not only recognition of our public servants, but my prayers for their labors. Because with the inanity that has become our national situation, it's no exaggeration to say literally around the whole wide world, we're stumbling in the dark. And so I'm honored to be here. And were I to affirm a subject for my remarks, I would draw from a hymn from my faith tradition. And the lyric says, Lord, open my eyes that I might see the glimpses of truth that thou hast for me. And were I to take a text for my remarks, my friends, I would share with you the words of the late Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and I would say to you that human progress is neither automatic nor is it inevitable. Even a superficial look at history reveals that no social advance rolls in on the wheels of inevitability. Every step towards the goal of justice requires sacrifice, suffering, and struggle. It requires the tireless exertion and passionate concern of dedicated individuals. Without persistent effort, time itself only becomes an ally of the insurgent and primitive forces of destruction. This is no time for apathy. This is no time for complacence. This is a time for vigorous and positive action. I'm nearing the end of page 4 now, so let me spend the final 6 pages of my remarks celebrating a time for vigorous and positive action, because this is a theme to which Dr. King repeatedly returned. His words were prophetic, as if he knew that tonight we would be meeting confronted with the fierce urgency of now. My friends, I submit to you that in gathering in honor of MLK Day, that our responding to this call for renewed devotion offered by TBE of Great Neck is more than just a Shabbat service. It is more than just a break from the world of work, but it is how we bear witness to not just our optimism and not just our worship and not just our service, but also to our reality. Frederick Douglass, 150 years ago, could say the same thing to you that I say. I hope and trust all will come out right in the end, but the immediate future looks dark and troubled. We are here because we cannot shut our eyes to the ugly facts that are before us. And I'll just share some of those ugly facts. My home community, Rochester, New York, is ranked first in New York State for child poverty and 7th in the nation. Poverty here on Long Island is at its highest level since Eisenhower left the White House. And the impact of poverty on children is significant and long-lasting. The work of my agency, Common Ground Health, is dedicated and mission-centered on bringing into focus the fact that poverty means children who grow up in substandard and or insecure housing, children who experience inadequate child care, children who live in unsafe neighborhoods face the greatest risk for poor socio-emotional functioning, are at greatest risk for developing behavioral health and substance use addiction problems, for developmental delays, and for chronic disease problems. If we're not motivated by loving children, we ought to be motivated by the incredible financial and economic cost that poverty has on our society. Indeed, the impact of poor schools and poverty is so profound that, as we all heard but kind of already knew it, several years ago, the Schott Foundation for Public Education concluded that Rochester's black male graduation rate was the worst in the nation, and concluded that both my community and Nassau and Suffolk counties stood out as communities with schools with increasing numbers of children in poverty with limited English proficiency and a diminished capacity to function successfully in the world. And I know these are tough facts, and I know that my job is to give you an inspiring message, and I also recognize that I'm at the end of page 5, but I think we should not shy away from Douglass's facts. Over 50% of New York students in 2-year institutions of higher education take at least one remedial course because they graduated from high school not prepared to do college level work. And that's why our being here tonight is so important. Because schools cannot tackle these challenges alone. They didn't cause them alone. They can't solve them alone. And neither can educational policy, because this isn't just about education. It's about housing, and it's about economic and job development, and it's about adolescent mental health, and it's about birth outcomes. And I have no doubt that you are here because you also understand that it's about those things to which you and incredible people like Jordana are committed. It's about all of us taking action in order to build a better community. And that's why I'm deeply appreciative for you all allowing me to be here, and I am incredibly appreciative of how you live life daily and how you are making sure that Temple Beth-El remains devoted to fulfilling America's promise, and how you have been in the business of making sure that you all are conductors on the Underground Railroad of the 21st century, knowing that it is our job to conduct our children out of the darkness of destructive selfishness and into the light of creative altruism. You've been doing the thing that Douglas understood is our most essential task, and that is, as daunting as the facts may be, as problematic and troublesome as policy and politics is, as much as we might feel overwhelmed and feel that we cannot change the world, we have to continue to make sure that young people discover that when there is nothing else they can do, there's one thing that they can change, and that is themselves. And that is ourselves. Because there is something inside of each of us that we can always work to develop, to grow, and to spread. So as I approach page 7, let me hasten to my point. And since I don't have many pages left, I will let you know that, again, in the words of Frederick Douglass, my hopes have never been brighter than now. And my hope is bright because of everything you are, with everything we've experienced. We can look at this world and witness that the times, they are a-changing. And I'll tell you, when I really became aware of this change and of what this change means, it was at the Smithsonian Institution's Air and Space Museum back in the early 90s. My son is 30 now. He was a grade schooler at the time, and it was one of those wonderful family vacation moments with my children and with my nephews, in which, as the font of all knowledge, I was Dad and the magical Uncle Wade. And I was the museum guide. When the children come with me, we don't need a docent. I can guide us through the museum, and I can tell my blessed brood everything that they need to know about aviation, the history of flight, and man's journey into space. And so we entered the museum section that housed an exhibit on the solar system. And as the warm-up to what was going to be a fantastic astronomy lecture, I asked my son to name the solar system's largest planet. I was so proud that he was able to answer Jupiter. And then I asked him to name the planet with rings. And I was moved from the height of parental pride to a sense of mortal shame. And I had to sadly correct him when he said Neptune. I tut-tutted and explained to him the answer, of course, is Saturn. And my, at the time, middle school nephew was with us, and he asked me, well, Uncle Wade, what makes Saturn's rings more special than those of Uranus? And my voice began to go up in terms of volume. My hands are going as I began to engage in an argument to let them know of their ignorance. Who ever heard of Uranus having rings? And at that point, a museum docent approached to point out, sir, you should also know, in addition to the answers your children have given, Jupiter also has rings. I'm glad you can see the humor in it, because it was a very painful moment. Because in that short little window, something that was an accepted and accomplished fact in my life, that Saturn is the planet with rings, was utterly disproved by discovery. And I want you to know that what is happening in this world is that the rate of discovery, the velocity of innovation, and the speed at which we can connect and share have all collided to spark a revolution. The U.S. Labor Department estimates that today's college students, my daughter Julia is now a senior, will have 10 to 14 jobs by the time she turns 38. The department's data suggests that half of us in this room who are still working are like me at Common Ground Health, working with colleagues who have been with the company for less than 5 years. Our children today are literally growing up on an earth that is a whole new world. Their earth circles the sun with 7 other planets, while mine circled the sun with 8 other planets. Theirs is a whole new world, literally. And the amount of new technical information that they will learn is doubling every year. And so, since I spend an ungodly amount of money paying college tuition, I have a very deep appreciation for the fact that this means that half of what my daughter learned in her first year of study will be outdated by this May when she graduates. So, in the face of so much change, my friends, in the context of so much darkness, my friends, what are we to do? The answer is simple. We must hold on to and pass on tradition, and we must embrace change and celebrate vigorous and positive action. And so, my only reason to come here was to let you know that although you labor, you do not labor alone. That although it is dark, there are friends in the darkness. Your work is connected to my work. Your community is connected to mine. And none of us and none of our children or their families need fear being left alone, abandoned, or unloved. We are joined not just by our shared history, but also by our common struggle. Sister Sledge is still right. We are family. Huh? And because I am blessed to have Chancellor Rosa and Regent Chin here with me, I can say not only we are family, but I got all my sisters with me. I'm getting ready to leave you now, but I want to take you back to Julia and me stumbling around the movie theater trying to find her friends. And I want you to know what stands out markedly in my heart is the incredibly fantastic moment when our eyes adjusted to being in darkness. And you know what happens when your eyes adjust to darkness? God creates light. And I was able to see. And all of a sudden, I was able to recognize the group of people we were looking for. And I was able to look up at the screen and realize not only had we found our friends, but we had not missed nothing but the trailers. And that incredible moment of discovery made all the worry and all the stumbling in the dark all worthwhile. I want you to know that this is the moment that if we really want to be partners in community action, if we really want to ensure that every child on the island and every child in Rochester is able to experience love, peace, growth, and joy, then we have to accept the fact that it is okay to go through the darkness. We have to understand that sometimes it is necessary for us as people of agency to be in the darkness of ignorance, despair, and negativity, because what's unacceptable is our willingness to allow too many of our children and their families to be in that darkness and locked in that space. We have to bring them out. And I spent too much of my money feeding and sheltering children that aren't my own, because the older I get, the more I understand why Harriet Tubman went back into the slave South time and time again. And I also understand why she was storied to point her revolver at the Africans she was helping to find freedom, as she was at the oppressors who would have kept them as slaves. Because sometimes we just need to stop being satisfied with letting our children, our community settle for less. Sometimes we have to demand more, and we need to pull them out of less and into the state of more. I believe that by doing so, that's how we respond to King's call for vigorous and positive action. That's how we become part of what Dr. King called the great working of our time. Something to which he said in his mountaintop speech, we are responding. Because, he said, something is happening in our world. You see, as scary and as distracting as all this technology is to me, and tonight proved that I have to learn how to use Uber and Lyft apps to get around. As scary as all this is to me, for my children, it is an exciting time of discovery. It is how they build and maintain friendships across the globe with people of different backgrounds, races, and religions. And listening to them, I gain hope because they believe that every Vine and Snap picture that they share, every video that goes viral and makes them laugh and they send to me to see, they demonstrate their belief that deep down in every human heart, there is mercy, there is generosity, and there is a friend to be made. And so, my friends, I am on the top of page 10, my last page, and I close with the story of an army general who sent spies into the land of the enemy. And the spies were sent to check things out and bring back a report. I'm told that at the end of 40 days, the spies returned to their leader and to their people. And the spies said, well, there's some good news and there's some bad news. The good news is that the land is filled with fruit and flowing with milk and honey, just as we were told. But the bad news, they said, is that the people who are already living there live in fortified cities with walls that are strong, and the people look like giants. In fact, their exact words were as follows: we are not able to go up against these people, for they are stronger than we. The land we have spied out is a land which devours its inhabitants. And all the people that we saw in it are men of great stature, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers. Now, the scriptures call this an evil report, and tell us that that report sharply contrasted with a different point of view from two of the spies. One named Caleb and one named Joshua. And they said to the general, let us go up at once and possess this land, for we are well able to overcome it. That, my friends, is the spirit that guides us through darkness until we can see again. And let me tell you that that's the spirit that lets us know that just like when the hands of Moses were being upheld by Aaron and Hur, when Joshua was fighting and won the battle over the Amalekites, we may not be in the specific battle so many of our teachers and their student families are fighting. But what Jordana's work and that teen club and their collection of crayons and glue sticks tell us is we may not be in the battle, but by golly, we can lift up holy hands. And with the work, support, and prayers of a congregation of believers, we can commit by coordinating our efforts, communicating our community's needs, and collaborating on efforts to meet them. I kind of feel like Joshua and Caleb. The night is dark and the facts are bleak, but we are well able to overcome. Thank you very much for having me here.
All right, not the best. That was extraordinary. Extraordinary. But our last minutes are not to be missed as well. These last minutes, we put our hearts and our souls and our passions into it to honor this these beautiful words we just heard. So, who gets this microphone? Okay, we're almost done. Let's all rise as we turn to Aleinu on page 282. Adon hakol atekduna Seraretz u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim iman Shinat Yisrael v'kolim Elohim u'Eloheinu Eloheinu v'anachnu morim u'mishma'avim u'modim Livnei melech v'chei amlachim HaKadosh Baruch 287 V'ne'emar Haya Adonai L'melech
Kol haaretz, Vayom ahu, Vayom ahu,
Adonai Echad, Ushemo, 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 Echad.
You may be seated. As always, we take a moment for memory. If you hear the name of someone you've come to remember, please rise when you hear that name and remain standing. This week marks the passing of Bill Koppelman and Andrew Richmond. And in the past 30 days, Elliot Braustein, Carol Burstein, David Harrison Don, Zena Sulcus Freeman, and Shabbatai Ben Yosef. And the Yortzites this week for Donald Aronson, Pearl Moses Bernstein, Nelson Richard Bernstein, Theodore Cohen, Matthew Delson, Rose Erlanger, Barbara Gilbert, Annabelle Heckler, David Heckler, Sandra Hirschon, Jeanette Hollins, Anna Jacobs, Bernard Kofsky, Arthur Litz, Stephen Lowenthal, Minnie Markowitz, Donnie H. Marks, Helen Minikis, Arthur Muskin, Lee Reesfield, Miriam Rosen, Norman Rothberg, Jack Sharadsky, Max Siegel, Louis Kessner, Joseph Abrams, and Ethel Cohen. Any other names omitted or mispronounced? If it's your custom to rise for the mourner's Kaddish, please do so. We're on 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah Bi'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'yimru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei d'kudsha richu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran v'yalma v'yimru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. May the one who creates harmony, peace, wholeness, and healing on high bring that to all of us. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, to all humanity. We say one last time, Amen. You may be seated. A few brief announcements, not so brief, just
one last time.
It's a long service, but we have amazing things coming up. You just hold on. We're almost there. Thank you, Ron.
A little too much of me tonight, huh? But some brief announcements, but really important announcements. It is a pleasure to see all of you here. It's a pleasure to see this room packed to the gills on this really special occasion. As you can imagine, putting it together an evening like this requires some thank yous. Some of them we've mentioned already, but worthy of repeating. Thanks, of course, to our clergy, Rabbis Feldman, Rabbi Mulbaum, Cantor Lappin, for leading us in prayer this evening. Thanks to our admin, Stu Botwinick, Executive Director, for all the fine-tuning to get the evening underway. Thanks to our greeters this evening, Judy Rosenzweig, Aline Springer. I know I'm leaving somebody else. Who else was? And Pete Toffel. Yes, thanks, Pete, as well. Thanks to all of you for your efforts this evening. A huge thank you to our guest speaker, Regent Wade Norwood. Absolutely. Wade, absolutely, well deserved. Wade, your eloquent message of unity and action and common purpose, delivered, I would add, with a great deal of warmth and humor, certainly helped to illuminate, at least in some small way, perhaps even in some large way, that path from darkness to light, as Dr. King would say. So thank you so much for being here. Absolutely. A thanks again to our interfaith choir and soloists from the St. John's University Voice of Victory Choir. They are terrific. They are terrific. And of course to Dr. Nigel Gretton. A shout out to some very talented musicians. Shai Kedmi, AJ Lyman, Ed Roseman. So thanks to the three of them. Fantastic work. A special thanks to our team director, Sarah Gottlieb, for serving as our American Sign Language interpreter. Lends a certain special feeling to our service this evening. A special greeting, of course, to all of our elected officials, our community leaders, our school educators, and those in the ASL community, and all those watching on live stream at home as well. Welcome to all of you. There are, as always, a ton of things going on in Temple Beth-El, a couple of upcoming events that are important and you should be keeping in mind. Our social action focus, the Reverend, in honor of Dr. King, this weekend coming up, our Midnight Run. That's our ongoing efforts to support the homeless in New York City. Reach out to Sarah Gottlieb for more information on that. Also, our community MLK Day of Service for Teens on Monday. Thanks to our own Jordana Levine once again, Rebecca Sassooni from Shai, Veronica Lurvy from Temple Israel, and Adrienne Valtz and Tiffany Gentiles from the First Baptist Church. Terrific. It's a terrific effort. For those that have the opportunity to participate, I would encourage you to do so. The Sims Municipal Recycling Center Brooklyn visit is also on Monday, part of our greening efforts here at Beth-El, the first synagogue on Long Island to go green. Yes, absolutely. This is our effort to educate ourselves and our community. You can reach out to Congregant Elliot Rosenzweig for more information on that. Next Saturday, January 25th, is our next special Shabbat featuring Ellen Gottlieb. Ellen, absolutely. Welcome, Ellen. Ellen is the founder of Enlightened Parenting. A delicious Kiddush brunch will follow, sponsored by our own TBE Torah Study Group. In 2 weeks, Friday, January 31st, join us for a musical Shabbat with guest speaker Cantor Benji Ellen Schiller and the Shirenu Choir of Long Island under the direction of Debbie Tartell. February 9th, two things coming up. The Interfaith Tu B'Shvat